This tutorial will be project-based, so I won't bore you with long theories first. You will learn all the necessary tools and things in modeling on the way to creating this simple radio. So on opening a new Blender file, the first thing you will see is several different editors. The biggest one you see here is called the 3D Viewport. We will spend most of this course in this editor only. The bottom editor is called the Timeline editor. We won't be needing this editor in this course, so we can get rid of it right now. The easiest way to close any editor is simply taking the mouse cursor to the boundary between two editors till the cursor changes to a double-sided arrow. Then click the right mouse button and select Join Areas. Then place the arrow in the bottom editor since we want that to get closed, and click the left mouse button to close it. Then go to File, Defaults, select Save Startup File, so Blender remembers the changes next time you open it. You can always load back the factory settings, so nothing to be afraid of. Now go to the Edit option above and select Preferences. A separate new window pops up. Here, select Themes, then under Preset, you can choose any one you like if you don't like the default one. Then go to Input and turn on Emulate Numpad, if you don't have a numpad currently. And turn on Emulate 3-button mouse, if you don't have that either. Then go to Key Map, and under Preference, make sure the left-click selection is turned on, not the right-click. And finally, go to System, and under Memory and Limits, change the undo steps to 64, this might be useful later on. If you accidentally change something you should not have, then you don't need to worry, you can just load the factory preferences. Now you can close down this window. Now if you take the cursor to these colorful dots area, and then left-click, hold and drag, you can orbit or rotate around in the viewport. The shortcut to use this will be to just click, hold and drag the middle mouse button. But those without the 3-button mouse, if you remember I told you to turn on Emulate 3-button mouse before. So with that turned on, you can hold down the Alt key, and then hold down the left click and drag to rotate around in the viewport. Now if you left click, hold and drag on this magnifying icon here, you can zoom in or out. And if you hold down the Control key, and then click, hold and drag the middle mouse button, you can zoom in or out as well. And if you don't have the 3-button mouse, hold down the Control key, then the Alt key, and then click, hold and drag with left click to perform the zooming. Simply scrolling the mouse wheel up or down also lets you zoom. Now if you left click, hold and drag this hand icon here, you can pan the scene. And if you hold down the Shift key and click, hold and drag the middle mouse button, you can pan the scene as well. And people without 3-button mouse, just hold down the Shift key, Alt key, and then click, hold and drag the left mouse button to pan the scene. So in the 3D viewport by default, you get a mesh cube, a camera, and a lamp. To select any of the objects you can just left click on it. You can also just hold your left mouse button, and drag over the objects to select them. Then with an object selected, if you click the right mouse button, you get some object context menus. You get different menus for different kinds of objects. There is a delete option in case you want to delete an object. There is also a shortcut you can use to delete the selected object. First, select the object you want to delete. Then press either X or Delete key on your keyboard, and then confirm it with a left click or Enter key. Let's delete the lamp as well. Left click to select, right click and choose Delete, or press X and then left click to delete. Now to add objects back in our scene, we can select the Add option above, and choose an object. And under the mesh, you get some predefined shapes to choose from. The shortcut to get the Add menu is Shift key plus A. So hold down the Shift key, and press A. Now since of the given shapes, a cube resembles the most with the radio we are going to create, we have to select the cube. Left click on it to select it. Now drag this small arrow with the left mouse button to open up some hidden menus. You can drag this back to close it. The shortcut to open these menus is N on your keyboard. Press N again to close it. Now under Transform, you can see the dimensions of this cube. Currently, it's 2 meters on every side. The unit system here is metric, but you can change it to imperial if you prefer that. To do that, go to Scene Properties and under Units, change the system to imperial. But I will stick with metric for now. Now I don't know where you live. But on Earth, we don't usually see a radio of 2 meters in size. So let's fix it. Type in 16 cm for 16 centimeters, then press Enter. 8 centimeters width, and 12 centimeters height. You don't have to type the same numbers though. Now, let's zoom in by left click and dragging on the magnifying icon, or by just simply scrolling the mouse wheel. It's always a good practice to name your objects as you go. So later on, if there are too many objects in the scene, you won't have any trouble finding it. So to rename anything, you can double left click on the object name in the outliner. Then you can type in the name suitable and press enter to confirm. You can also change the name in the viewport itself. Simply select the object you want to rename first, then press F2 on the keyboard, type the name, and press enter. Now if you orbit around with the middle mouse button, you can see this object has very sharp edges and corners. But if you take a closer look at any everyday objects in your environment, you will notice none of them has that sharp finish. Every one of them has at least some bevel on it. So to do that in Blender, there are several different ways. Let me show you one of them. First, go to this blue wrench icon, and then click on Add Modifier. Then select Subdivision Modifier from the second column. What it did is added more vertices to our previous model. Here each of the faces of the cube got subdivided into 4 faces. And we can also increase or decrease the subdivisions as per our liking. Let's keep it at 2 for now. Now obviously this doesn't look anything like a cube anymore. We need to fix this. Currently, we are in object mode. But we need to switch to a different mode called edit mode to go further. So left click here and select edit mode. Or use the shortcut tab on your keyboard to quickly toggle between object and edit mode. Now left click on the green dot here without the letter on it. This will take you to the front view of the model. You can also use shortcut 1 on numpad for the front view. And the people who don't have numpad, simply press 1 on the keyboard if you turned on emulate numpad in preferences. Now select the loop cut tool down here, then take the cursor near a horizontal edge, and left click to make a cut. Then click on the operator panel. Now if you drag the factor slider to a negative value, the edge loop moves to the right side. And if you drag the factor slider to a positive value, the edge loop moves to the left side. Now take the cursor near a vertical edge and left click to make a cut. Now if you drag the factor slider to a negative value, the edge loop moves to the top side. And if you drag the factor slider to a positive value, the edge loop moves to the bottom side. Now let's say you have to adjust this edge loop position. If you try sliding the factor, only the active loop gets affected. So that means, we will first have to make that edge loop active. And to make it active, we need to select it. So go to the selection tool. Before moving forwards, let me tell you how you can select vertices, edges, or faces in edit mode. To select vertices, turn on the first option here. Then you can select vertices with left clicking. The next one here is the edge selection. With this turned on, you can select edges. And the last one is face selection. With that turned on, you can select faces. Now, let's go back to vertex selection. Here you can select the edge loop by selecting all the vertices in the edge loop. Select the first vertex with a left click, and then others by holding the shift key and left clicking on them. But this is time consuming, so instead of selecting all, you just have to select only 2 vertices to make an edge first. Or you can simply enter edge selection from here instead of the vertex selection, and select an edge. Then go to select menu up top, select loops, and then select edge loops. Now that you have selected the edge loop, take the cursor to the left side toolbar, and scroll down. Or left click drag the scroll bar, then select the edge slide tool. Now you can either slide it by left click and dragging the yellow dot, or by dragging the factor slider in the operator panel below. Now let's undo all these, and go back to the selection tool to see an easy way how you could do all these. If you hold down the Control key and press R, you can activate the loop cut tool. So take the cursor near an edge for the guideline to appear. Then left click to make a cut. Now if you move to mouse, you can slide the loop as well. Left click again to confirm. You can also open up the operator panel from below, and move the edge loop by sliding down the factor value. Let's make another cut. Now say you want to change the position of this edge loop. So you need to make that active first. And to make it active, we need to select it. The quick way to select an edge loop is by simply holding down the Alt key, and left clicking on the edge where you want the loop selected. And those without 3-button mouse, and with emulated 3-button mouse turned on, using Alt key plus left click, won't select the loop. You will have to simply double left click on an edge to select its loop. Now let's undo all these with Ctrl plus E. Then add another cut in the middle. So press Ctrl plus R, and then left click to make a cut. Now, instead of sliding this left or right, we can cancel the movement with right-click on mouse. Now, select the bevel tool option from the toolbar, and then left-click and drag the yellow dot to bevel this edge loop. And from the operator panel, you can control the width. Let's go back to the selection mode. Now press 7 on the numpad for top view. People without numpad, 7 on the keyboard will work as well if you have turned on Emulate Numpad from Preferences. You can also click on the blue dot here, with Z written on it for top view. Now hold down the Control key and press R to add another loop cut. Make a horizontal loop cut. Now instead of sliding it, click the right mouse button to cancel the movement. And instead of using the bevel tool from the toolbar, use the shortcut Ctrl+B to bevel it. And left-click to confirm it. Now, go to front view by pressing 1 on the numpad, and then make a horizontal cut. Right-click to cancel the movement, and then Ctrl+B to bevel it, and left-click to confirm. Now if you want to adjust the position of some different edge loop, select that with Alt left-click, then press G to slide it. While sliding, click and drag the middle mouse button to the axis, where you want the slide to happen. Left-click to confirm. And for those without the middle mouse button, you can press G twice to slide that edge loop. Now let's press the Tab key to exit out of edit mode, and see our model. Now, this is looking fine, but it seems low poly around the edges. We need to make that smooth. Now a mistake most beginners make is they simply increase viewport subdivisions till the model looks smooth. You should never do that. Let me tell you why. But first, take the cursor to the status bar, and right-click, and turn on Scene Statistics. Here you can see the number of triangles your model has. A large number here will slow down the computer, and Blender might even crash. A higher number means the model is high poly, and a lower number means it's low poly. And one should always try to make the model as low poly as possible. So always add any extra geometry to the model only if they are necessary. So instead of increasing the subdivisions here, we can go to the object menu up top, and select Shade Smooth. This makes our model smoother without adding any extra geometry to it. There is also an option to make it like before by going to Object, and selecting Shade Flat. You can also simply right-click after selecting the model, and select Shade Smooth. Let's wrap it up for today. Now, in order to save our work, go to File, then select Save As. Or use the hotkey, Ctrl-Shift and S. Then in the file browser, select the folder where you want it to get saved. Now, click here to name it anything you like. Then select Save As. Hope you were able to follow up till now. If you did, leave a like down below, and turn notifications on after you hit the subscribe button. Stay safe and stay healthy. I look forward to seeing you in the next part of this course.